Hello everyone. Welcome to Soap Family for You. Carter slips up during questioning and Nick hovers on the brink of death. After a fight, Audra catches up with Kyle in the maze and wants to talk. Kyle hopes she won't try to move him to continue her incense battle facade. She's lost, and the only smell coming from her is the scent of agonizing defeat. Audra insists she was feeling vulnerable and came to Kyle for comfort. Kyle's not buying it. Audra says she's not attracted to him. He's trim. She was horribly worried given that Damien was Nate's family. Kyle says they both know she wanted further than a shoulder to cry on. Audra's sorry she was carried down by her feelings. She wants to pretend none of this ever happened. Kyle is moving on from this game. She's shown him he was right each along about her and Victor. This act of penitence is too little, too late. Audra wants to make Vibrante into the coming great cosmetics establishment. Kyle's sure she'll use whatever means necessary to achieve her pretensions, including giving her body down at Victor's request. She warns him he's about to get his eyes scratched out. She wasn't going to sleep with him. She's sure he won't want to take these allegations to Victor. Kyle says he formally did, and Nikki was there when he informed the mustache that Audra had failed. Audra says he made his situation worse. Making false allegations about Victor in front of his woman will provoke his fury. He'll want him down from Claire indeed more now. She doubles down that she made an honest mistake turning to him in a moment of weakness. Kyle's sure this is the end of Vibrante and Audra's career. Audra insists Victor won't walk down from Vibrante. Her arrangement with him was rigorously professional. He's paranoid to suppose it's all about him. Kyle warns she won't worm her way out of this bone. Audra accuses him of projecting. When they were alone together, he realized he wanted their relationship to be further about business. When he couldn't have her, he put this on her. She points out he nearly cheated on Claire and must wonder if he's good of her. Does he suppose Victor is right to want to keep them piecemeal? Will Jack cut ties with Billy? In their sleeping auto, Jack tells Diane about the book he set up there. Diane notices he's set up it hard to relax. He asks how she's holding up. Diane says and stop allowing about Audra's deal with Victor. She actually allowed, she valued herself further than that. She hopes Kyle won't defy Victor. She still senses commodity is bothering Jack. He admits it's Billy. Jack sighs that they all saw this coming since Jill vended Chancellor out from under Billy. He's been obsessed with getting it back. Diane thinks it's fair for Jack to call him out on that. He's given him further than enough reason to question his judgment. He gave him a blank check. Jack authentically allowed. He wanted to do commodity to enhance the family name. Vengeance has no place in a solid business plan. Jack's sure Billy will be ready to dissolve their business arrangement, but he can't unless he agrees to vend his interest. He's starting to suppose he needs someone differently to educate him to rise to the occasion. Diane and Jack go over his support of Billy and his examens. He needs to find a way to accept him for the man that he is. Diane asks if he'll cut him out of his life. Jack complains he always comes back to deliver him. His presence in his life may be a factor in holding him back. Perhaps the only way for him to find his true path is for him to get out of the way. Can Billy schmooze Kane? Billy finds Kane in the bar area of the maze, and they bandy the Damien tragedy and life being short. Billy's impressed by what Kane has been suitable to do in such a short period of time. No judgment then. Kane tells Billy he has no ill will toward him moreover. Billy's happy to hear that and calls him brother. Kane and Billy muse about being sisters. Kane says he invited Jill, but she transferred her regrets. Billy doesn't know what's going through her head these days. Kane is sure he's worried about the way effects played out at Chancellor. However, he's sure Billy and Jill can too, if he and his father can reconnect. Billy only wants to talk about Abbott dispatches. Kane prodigies if Jack lost confidence in him. Billy says he's lost confidence in Jack. When Kane reached out to him as Dumas, he saw an occasion. Kane wasn't looking to be the sole investor. Billy is sure he'll want to make a bigger commitment now that they've talked. Billy tells Kane the figures don't lie, the nags are at the gate. The race is about to start, and all he has to do is throw his plutocrat in and join him in the winner's circle. Kane's in no place to make a deal given a man just failed in his arms. Billy heard that there's substantiation against Nick, and he's got him locked down. He's surprised he didn't factor in the enmity of the Newman family into doing business. They should come to a deal because he knows what he wants and he can help him get it. Did Carter do it? In the main train auto, Chance approaches Carter to talk about the murder. Carter informs him he should be questioning Nick Newman. He repeats that he'd called it a night when the murder passed, and the groundskeeper roused him to tell him about the incident. Carter says that's not what the groundskeeper told him. Carter intones. Also, he's incorrect. Victor appears and asks, "Is he? Or are you trying to cover Kane?" Victor asks how long Carter has been in Dumas' employ. He says it has been a couple of times and acknowledges that his relationship with Dumas can't be measured in bones and cents. Victor remarks that he has such a sense of duty to his employer, he might cover him no matter what. Chance asks if he'd cover up a crime for Kane, indeed if it meant framing an innocent man. Carter declares that their questions are affronting. They tell him that his master is Kane Ashby, not Aristotle Dumas. People who commit crimes use aliases. Was he part of this bone? They establish that Carter is his right-hand man and believed that he was Dumas. Carter doesn't understand what they want from him. Victor says, "We want the verity." Continuing the grilling, Victor asks Carter if Kane commended in him about his plan to murder Damien. Carter says that didn't be. Chance thinks Carter did what he'd do to cover him when he set up out he committed a crime. Carter says he'd do anything to cover him, but he didn't do what they're suggesting. Victor says, "He's using you." Carter owes his life to Mr. Dumas. Victor asks if he liked to spend his life in a French captivity for covering for his master. Carter has no further information and suggests they question Nicholas. Kane's induced he's the killer. As Carter's walking down, Victor tells him someone saw him planting a cutter trickling with blood in his son's resting cube. Carter calls this a hopeless attempt by a father to cover his son. Victor muses about doing anything to cover the bones they love. What would his devotion lead him to do? Carter confirms there's no limit to what he'll do for Mr. Dumas or Ashby. He pulled him from poverty and restored his quality. He could no way repay that debt, but the fact that he'd do what they're criminating him of doesn't mean he did do it. Chance tells him to take a hike. Carter tells Victor he appreciates the position he's in, but whoever said they saw him place the cutter under the Gemara is lying. Chance intones, "We no way said that cutter was set up under the Gemara." Why is Nick like this? In the locked room, Nick and Sharon badinage as he tells her picking a cinch is the badassiest thing he's ever seen her do. She gets the door uncorked, and they grandly five. Opening the door, the gorilla is standing there. Nick socks him as Sharon gasps. Nick and the guard fight until Nick gets hurt. Sharon screams, "Nick," as the guard asks, "You had enough?" Nick grabs the champagne bottle and swings it backward to knock out the gorilla as he replies, "Nope." Sharon rushes to Nick's side. Sharon tries to get Nick up, but he clutches his side and tells her to go get help. Sharon says she'll be right back and takes off. Nick agonizes in a precedent. Can Billy save Nick? Standing by the bar in the maze, Kane tells Billy he's always had great ideas. Billy insists he's learned from his miscalculations over the times. Kane muses that if you do and evolve, you do and survive. Billy asks if he wants to work together. Kane's focus isn't on business right now, but on the safety of his guests. Billy tells him the sooner they can come to a deal, the better it'll be for both parties. Kane will let him know soon. He walks off and Sharon appears, yelling at Billy that she needs his help. Nick's been hurt, and it's real bad. In the locked room, Nick tells himself to handle the pain as he looks at the blood on his hand. Undoing his shirt, he insists to himself that this is nothing. Seeing the blood on his stomach, he snoots. Nick is passed out by the time Sharon and Billy arrive. Billy checks the crack and says, "That's not good." Sharon, he's lost a lot of blood. Feeling for a palpitation, Billy gives Sharon a look of alarm. A heartbreaking consummation for Jack. In his train auto, Jack pours a drink and flashes back to arguing with Billy about Chancellor and Abbott dispatches. Diane is sad that Jack thinks his support for Billy has been anything but salutary. Jack says his family always feels judged by him. Diane suggests he take a step back. Jack says it's CA and B partial measures. He always comes racing to save the day. He's starting to feel like an enabler. Billy knows he'll catch him and get him back on his bases. Tearing up, Jack asks Diane, what if my love for him is what's holding him back? He has to consider letting Billy go. They embrace. Jack tells Diane that Billy has made it clear that he neither wants nor needs his help. Perhaps it's time to hear. Diane shrugs that at least he won't be suitable to condemn Jack when effects go wrong. But can he really walk down? They both know it won't be long until he gets himself into another situation he can't handle. Will Audra or Kyle prevail? Still in the maze, Kyle states to Audra that he'll try to be a better man for Claire. Audra says they both know he won't get there. She's seen how much he's hurt the people he loves time and time again. He has a need to be bad. I kissed you, but you kissed me back. If he was onto her, why did he let it get so far? Why did he fall onto the bed with her, wearing only a kerchief? He couldn't repel her. She wonders how Claire would feel if she saw how important he wanted her. Kyle thinks perhaps Nate would like to hear about what happened. You made a deal with Victor. Audra says, so did you. He's going to break that contract, and Claire's heart whether she's involved or not. He could have stayed home with Claire, but he chose to come with her. Kyle vows that he and Claire will make it, and no bone will stop them. Audra made her bed, and now she's going to lie in it alone. Audra warns he's chosen the wrong person to cross, and now he'll have to face the consequences. Kyle smothers. Is he supposed to be hysterical of her now? When the verity comes to light, she'll end up with absolutely nothing. Audra purrs. Well, if that's true, also I'll have nothing left to lose, and that makes me much more dangerous. With that, she walks off. Can Sharon get help in time? In the locked room, Billy says Nick's alive, and they rouse him. Nick slurs that he's not doing so good. Billy makes a crack about them coming to get him when one of them is locked up. As Nick slips back into unconsciousness, Billy tells Sharon they need to get him to a croaker presto, or he doesn't like his chances. Sharon won't let anything be to him. She panics that there are no medical labor force there, and they're stranded. What are we going to do? Sharon will go down the mountain herself, if she has to. Billy says he'd be gone by the time she gets back. They need someone that knows further first aid than they do, or he's not going to make it. Closer to the truth? In the main train auto, Carter tells Victor and Chance they must be incorrect. One of them said they set up the cutter under Nick Newman's Gamara. They only said the sleeping auto either someone told him they put it there, or he put it there himself to frame Victor's son for the murder of Damian Kane. Kane appears and asks, which is it? He wants to speak to Carter alone. Victor asks, so you can get your story straight? Kane replies, so we can figure out who the real killer is. Next on The Young and the Restless, Victor takes matters into his own hands, and Billy and Sally work together to help Nick. Is this really the end for Victor and Nikki's son? Then's what Joshua Morrow says. R.I.P. Nick from young and restless to dead and buried? And then we allowed that champagne was for happy occasions. Not always, it turns out. In the July 24th occasion of The Young and the Restless, Nick used a bottle of Gamesome to take a swing at the gorilla, keeping him under house arrest with disastrous consequences. What happened to Nick? Determined to break free, Sharon picked the cinch on the door. But of course, on the other side of it awaited a guard the size of a wall. Nick tried to fight the Joe, and how to put it? Failed. Poorly. He indeed tried to KO Carter's henchman with a bottle of champagne. When all was said and done, Nick was bleeding poorly, and a hopeless Sharon snappily recaptured Billy to perform first aid. Then's hoping he has better luck keeping Nick alive than any company he's ever run. Will Nick die? Though Billy, who supposedly lately caroused the pit, and thus is full of medical knowledge, did his stylish to patch Nick up, he told Sharon that her former partner demanded medical help. Stat. Indeed, if Sharon hiked down the mountain, she'd no way make it back in time to save Nick, Billy reckoned. But is this really the end for Joshua Morrow's long-running alter pride? Doubtful. As the actor told Soaps.com when reflecting on his early days in Genoa City, Victor and Nikki's son is obviously a foundation of the show and a huge part of this main family. I mean, some life was sort of ignited into it. Assuming what I wanted to do, and was responsible and showed up on time and was effective, he continued, I could stay as long as I wanted enough much. Would Morrow want to leave? Thankfully, there are no suggestions that Morrow has a yearning to move on. As he's told us, I couldn't want to be notorious lower, and for all intents and purposes, I'm not. Nothing cares what I do in this city. There are far, far further people who are way more notorious and intriguing, so I can live my life and not have to worry about that. So this is an inconceivable way to give for my family, to make a great living, and to be in a job that's veritably fulfilling that lets me work with inconceivable people, he added. It's really been just like the Powerball of jobs as far as I'm concerned.